So when I saw the film for the first time, I knew that I really needed to come up with sounds and instrumentation that were slightly different to what I've done before. Most of the movie takes place at a Pacific island, and it's really survival of the fittest. The island has no technology. Nobody that is there has any form of technology. There's technically one satellite phone, and that's it. So it's very raw in nature. There's no Uber. You can't order Uber Eats, like get a burger in or French fries, go to a restaurant. None of that. There's whatever you find on the island is what you're going to eat, and that's it. And whatever you can find and turn it into a weapon, that's it. Any force of nature you need to conquer creatively because there's no supplies, there's nothing. So obviously that needed to be reflected in the music. So there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of anxiety. And, you know, finally there's like the strength to stand up to it and, you know, some heroism at the end of the film. So you need an instrumentation box, so to speak, that will emphasizes all those emotions. So since we were on this island that we don't know in the middle of nowhere, I basically chose for some really weird animals and normal animals and just basically sampled them and did time stretch on them, created sampler instruments with lots of weird effects. So I used monkeys, I used all kinds of birds, I used crocodiles, lions, all kinds of animals. Animals that don't even live on the Pacific Islands, but they just created like really cool sounds and something of the unknown and something that's scary. So that's one set of sounds. The other set of sounds that has something to do with the storytelling, I don't want to go in too deep because that's going to give the story away, but we needed sounds that were angel-like, but the most creepy version of it. So I recorded a choir, and I did all these really strange things with the choir voicing. So it's very comparable to, excuse me, some of the choir pieces done by Arvo Pärt, Ligeti. Very like monotone choir, and then it just kind of starts drifting apart, all these female voices into like insane harmonies and chords. This was not even done to like a real scale, like C or D or F minor or whatever. This is just random. And it blended so well with anything else that I wrote because it was so off key and it was like completely detuned and in between notes that it just fitted perfectly. So that was a very important sound that I needed for the film. Then thirdly, the rhythms were very important. The director in the studio wanted something that's very action driven and frantic and with a lot of adrenaline. So this is where the Pacific drums come in. I didn't have them. I couldn't find a good sample library out there. So I actually looked for instruments to buy. And they were really hard to buy. So eventually I found this great instrument maker in San Diego, Christian Verbeek, who is actually making these Pacific drums. And it took him a few months to make them, but they sounded so gorgeous when I finally got them. And they look fantastic too. You should really check out the making of, and you see all these instruments and you meet the instrument builder. And so I bought them and I took them to London. We sampled the hell out of them and also recorded all the rhythms. So that was important part number 3. Important part number 4 was the orchestra itself. Even though it was used very dosed, it was not like an orchestral score from beginning to end because that's not what the director wanted, and MGM didn't want that either. There are some thematics there, but not like John Williams style in Star Wars, and this was an explicit wish of the director in the studio not to do that. But we did use the orchestra, and it really enhanced that whole flavor throughout the half of the movie until the end of the movie. So those were the 4 or 5 really important colors of the film that needed unique instrumentation and just looking for it. So I hope that answers your question.